This is what Stellar Blade is, and this is what Xbox wants. Ever since Stellar Blade was announced for the Nintendo Switch 2, every single time that the official Stellar Blade Twitter account posts about it, Xbox stampede into the comments section begging for a port to the disgraced console. This is when we ask for an Xbox version. Xbox 2, please. Acknowledge us.
Acknowledge me.
Shut the f*** up! You're not getting an Xbox. Here's the thing, and here's why I am 95% positive that you guys on the Xbox are never ever gonna get a game like Stellar Blade again. This is Microsoft's product inclusion action page on their official website. To me, this basically looks like a guide for developers on how they should make their games. So let's head on down to where it says questions to consider. There's a lot here, and you probably should read this for yourself, but the part that I'm going to focus on is right here where it asks, are you reinforcing any negative gender stereotypes?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Are you creating playable female characters equipped with clothing and armor that fits their tasks? Do they have exaggerated body proportions? Well, holy sh**, does this sound like anything to you? Clothing and armor that fits the task of slaying huge demons. Eve is half naked for most of the game. Do they have exaggerated body proportions? The entire game is an exaggerated body proportion. Stellar Blade is everything that Xbox does not want to feature in their games. So can you imagine if these sort of policies were in place back in 1996? You never would have gotten Lara Croft. You know that, right? You never would have gotten Metal Gear. You wouldn't even have any game that was made back then because most of them never would have passed this ridiculous test. Not Akira asks, is this what gamers want? And he posts an AI picture of Evie in the new Stellar Blade sequel where she's made to look like a 40-year-old drunk and emaciated Kamala Harris. Now if this is what Evie actually looked like in the game, then MicroGay would jump at the chance to have this terrible design on their system. You just know that they would. In fact, they probably would even fund the game. You don't think so? Let me prove it to you. This is what they've done to Fable. This is what Microsoft did to Gears of War, and this is what Microsoft would do to Stellar Blade if they could. Say what you want about Nintendo, for some reason people still seem to think that Nintendo is the same company from the early 90s that censored everything. The sides have switched, my friend. It's PlayStation and Xbox that are doing that now. And I also should remind you that this is not new for Xbox. Remember this game? Microsoft censored the shit out of it on the OG Xbox, while Nintendo had the uncensored version on the Nintendo 64. Best game ever, by the way. It's just unfortunate that Microsoft still owns it. And that's the problem with Microsoft these days. They don't just own an IP, they run it through the corporate inclusion filter until every ounce of personality, of edge, and fun gets bleached out. Look at what they did to Fable. The original games had that sharp British wit, the over-the-top characters, and yeah, some good old-fashioned sex appeal mixed in with the humor. But the new one, from everything that we've seen, it's been reimagined for modern audiences. But can you imagine if they got their hands on Stellar Blade? Forget about it. Eve would not even make it past the first feedback session. This design reinforces negative gender stereotypes, they would say. Her proportions are exaggerated. Are we sure the outfit fits the task of demon slaying? Next thing you know, she's in a turtleneck and cargo pants, lecturing you about the patriarchy. And just like that, the entire reason that the game even exists, you know, that unapologetic, hyper-stylized, badass female lead, it all gets gutted so it can pass Microsoft's little test. This is woke doing what it does best, taking something that people actually enjoy and demanding it be torn down and rebuilt in their image. It doesn't matter that Stellar Blade sold well. It doesn't matter that players clearly want this kind of game. The ideology says attractive, powerful women in revealing outfits are problematic. So the game must be changed or blocked entirely. And that's why you're never getting it on Xbox. Not because of power, not because of sales numbers, and not because of some technical excuse that they'll spin. It's because Eve fails the test on purpose. She was designed to fail it. Shift Up made a game that celebrates beauty, power, and yes, a little bit of fan service, and I do mean just a little bit. And Microsoft's entire product inclusion framework exists to make sure games like that never ever see the light of day on their platform. Even back in the 90s and early 2000s, characters were allowed to be hot and competent at the same time without some HR committee having a meltdown. If those same designs dropped today, the Twitter mob and the corporate inclusion teams would lose their goddamn minds. Why is she so sexualized? Why can't she wear practical clothing? Because it's fun. Because it's fantasy. Because not everything needs to be a lecture. But Microsoft doesn't see it that way. They've decided that gaming needs to be fixed. Fun is secondary. Player desire is secondary. What matters is passing the internal checklist so the right people in Seattle and on social media pat them on the back. And the results? Well, you can see it for yourself. Declining interest, frustrated fans, and a console that keeps missing out on the very games that could actually move the needle. So when you see Xbots in the comments still begging for a port, just know that they're coping with a reality their own company created. Even if the developers wanted to bring Stellar Blade to Xbox, the first thing Microsoft would demand is changes. Tone it down, make her relatable, add the right messaging, and the game would be worse for it. That's the real switch that happened. Nintendo used to be the one panicking about mature content back in the day. But now, they're the ones putting out platforms where games like Stellar Blade can just exist without a bunch of activists rewriting the character sheet. Xbox, they're still stuck in that 2020 era mindset where every female character needs to be deconstructed before she's allowed on screen. That's why I'm glad Stellar Blade is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. At least here, it gets to be the game that it was meant to be. And that's the difference between a company that still understands games are supposed to entertain you, and one that decides its real job is to educate you, whether you like it or not. I'm Switchblade, done.